Oh yeah, it is the Chloe and Abi show. I'm Chloe, that's Abi.
I'm Abi. I'm so excited.
Believe it
about
or not. This is the first episode. And look, we will talk football because we will always talk some football on this show, but it is an international break and we don't want to make anyone more depressed than what the past week and a half has been.
That was the whole point, was basically, right, I don't want to sit here talking about how shit Liverpool are and how they've literally lost 3 games and how Arsenal are top of the league and we've got Man United next, which is probably, could be the best, could be the worst game you could possibly have. And I was just thinking, could we speak about that for 45 minutes and just get either really depressed or hype me up about it? But I'm not really ready for that yet, so an introduction to us was in order.
I'm fine with being hyped up when Liverpool are like 2 days away from playing Manchester United.
Exactly.
But until then, let me just be not really thinking about football because I've enjoyed the break, to be honest.
Don't do it to me too soon. I don't want to start like hyping myself up, going like, oh, we're going into this Man United game, Mo Salah is back and I'm well up for this now because I'll have to sit on that for the whole international break while everyone else around me on Twitter is just feeling really negative, really shit about the whole situation.
And isn't it mad? We're 4 days into the international break. It feels like we're a lot longer into the international break. But like, I think Salah might be the only player, as of recording, who's played a game of international football. So it's not even like you can sit there and go, Canate did well after an absolute horror show at Liverpool. Glad that he's away from it all. Like, there is no one to even pinpoint who's played, who you can sit there and go, so made up for them, aside from Salah, because he's the only one who's played.
Exactly, because nothing's gone on. And literally, I've been ignoring it. I only realised Mo Salah had played football when I seen the group photo get posted in the changes and how happy Mo was. And Liverpool obviously put the tweet out saying, did he score 2 or something?
He scored 2 and he qualified for the World Cup.
Exactly. And do you know what? Of all the players that I wanted to see have a positive international break, it was that one, because I did Sky. Was it yesterday or the day before? And the whole conversation was about dropping Mo Salah. And it was like Jamie O'Hara being like, pretty much saying yes. Yeah. And there was voice notes coming in on Sky saying, yeah, you should be dropping Mo Salah. And I was obviously arguing, no, you shouldn't. And I understand people want them to be dropped, but they've all been shit. And you can't just decide like, oh yeah, so our best proven forward who's just signed a new 2-year deal, I know he's not having a good game, but no one else around him is. Let's drop him. It doesn't make sense for me, and there's no way Mo Salah can learn how to play in a new system with new players from the bench. So at the end of the day, obviously I was going to argue that, but to see Mo happy in those changes and to have scored, I think this is what he needed. And for it to start so early in this international break, like, you couldn't be asking for more for Mo, really. Yeah,
we are going to talk about football for a little bit, and to do that, I'll get into the chat of, we don't want to make it too depressing. Liverpool are 1 point off top, and ultimately, we've all been depressed since the Crystal Palace game, or at least I have. Yes, and then we had 2 more losses on top of that, lost in the last minute as well, once again, against Chelsea. So instead of doing the whole depression, what I'll do is I'll put this point to you. Liverpool have really struggled with system, and for whatever it may be, the press doesn't seem to be there. Liverpool don't be seeming to get closer to players. They've got far too much time on the ball. But also, you mentioned Salah there. It feels like there's always an overload on that left-hand side because Salah doesn't track back, and that is just the way we play football these days. It worked last season, but you had Dom kind of covering everywhere. When Dom's a right back, he can't do the right back and the right centre mid kind of role. My point to you is, it's an international break for me. It came at the perfect time. I'm happy for the players to go and have a different kind of pressure on them and just not be in that Liverpool headspace, because it would have been tough, especially with whatever's happening, and then you're getting the questions put on you and you've got to come and answer them. What do you think Slot's doing in this time? Do you reckon he's sat there looking at system? Do you reckon he's trying to think, okay, how do I match what we did last season? Or is he backing himself and this way we're playing now, and he's just trying to tweak some things in which, you know, Liverpool will hopefully be better and will look a little bit more revamped when we come back, a little bit more solid. What do you think Slot's doing? Because an international break's not easy. Your players aren't there to actually try and practice the things that you want to do, but then you do have other players who are never the quality that, you know, your Virgil van Dijks are, but you can still kind of see what the system looks like. So what do you reckon he's doing right now?
I would like to think he sat there for the whole international break, 24 hours with a tactics board in front of him, all his players on a list, and he's going to himself, right, we need to figure out how this is going to work. But he's not really that type of fella. Exactly. My first thought for this international break was, wow, Slot's really going to enjoy this break. Just going home to his family. You know, he's probably flew back home to the Netherlands and he's decided, right, I'm going to give myself a little break. But at the end of the day, as Liverpool fans, what you want to hear is that he's sat there and he's working out how we're going to make this work, because Florian Wirtz hasn't got his preferred position really. We don't know. For some reason, Slot seems to think he might work out on that left side, but I just don't see that working for him. I think that's just working negatively and against him. Obviously, playing Szoboszlai at right back, you're taking away that creativity from him, but then you've got Mo Salah struggling, and he's used to Trent being there in that right back position. And I'm not saying we're missing Trent Alexander-Arnold, but I am saying we're missing Trent Alexander-Arnold. We're missing his creativity, and obviously the whole idea was we'll bring in Frimpong, we'll get Wirtz, we'll get Isak, Ekitike, and we'll work out how to bring that sort of creativity, how to get that service, you know, all that sort of thing in that sort of attacking sense. We'll rebuild it in another way. And I'm not being funny, but I didn't expect it to click in as early as it did in the way of us winning as many games as we did with last-minute winners. It's easy at the time to look at those games and go, before we obviously started losing, this is actually going really well. This is a sign of champions, mentality monsters. This is working. Even with these new players, they're all working out how they're going to work into the system. Imagine what it's going to
look like when those players play well.
Exactly. So I'm thinking we're in second gear here and we're always managing to get a winner. But now it's just the cracks are showing, and you can see where these players just... It just looks disjointed. There's that fluidity in the football just isn't there anymore. It's very negative football. It's negative football as well. None of it feels very exciting at the minute. I think that's where fans are getting frustrated with Slot, is they're thinking it just feels quite negative. You know, it doesn't feel very exciting at the minute. But at the end of the day, and I did say this to you on text, I did want to address the whole grief thing that's going on.
Yeah.
I think it is worth us saying it, because it does feel as though people are avoiding talking about it, because fans online are like, oh, they're using it as an excuse, which is horrible and lacks empathy. You know, at the end of the day, they lost a really close friend. They lost someone who they'd see in that changing room. His space is still there, training every single day. They've lost that presence of that person, and as humans, we all know what it feels like to grieve. I didn't expect us, when we started winning all those games at first, I didn't expect us to be in that sort of position. I literally thought it's going to take a while. We obviously saw Salah crying, which was at the end of the Bournemouth game. Mo's
and that was
crying.
A win.
Exactly. The photos of Mo for the promo and stuff, he's got really puffy eyes. There's all that sort of thing where he just looks like he's tired, emotional, all that sort of thing. I don't understand how there just seems to be lack of empathy around supporting these players and understanding why they might be struggling. We're all singing on the 20th minute, and that reminds them straight away that they're missing one of their players. Do you know what I mean?
The problem is that Liverpool win games of football in that way, and people revert back to things like Jota's on our side, and, you know, the reason why this keeps happening is because we keep going for Jota and things like this. And it's all lovely to think that way, it absolutely is. But the thing is Liverpool won games of football, which therefore made people forget that it was a thing. And that's just how devastating life is. These tragedies happen, and you are expected to just pick yourself up and go again. And to anybody who's lost someone, I mean, I lost a mate when I was younger, that never leaves you. It just gets easier to deal with over time, because it's not that you don't think about them as much, but it's just like they're still always there. You're still always thinking of them. They're still always with you.
It just becomes a part of your life, doesn't it? The grieving.
Yeah, exactly. And that becomes the new norm, where right now those players are still having to learn how to go to work every day and not see that person. A lot of them were good mates, like not have that person to rely on or depend on. And then everything you do, like there was even people talking about, you know, how 20 minutes to go, you need a winner. Well, Jota's the player, those players might be also thinking that in the headspace, you know, and they don't have that. And like you said, every time we've mentioned his name when playing a game of football, it makes me emotional. So never mind what it makes them feel in those moments. And that's the thing, is that sadly Liverpool won games of football, which therefore meant that people just forget that it's still a thing, because you didn't bring it up then, but people did bring it up then. People were turning around and saying the reason we've got through this is the reason we've got so many late winners, the reason we're carrying on until the end is because they never say die attitude and going like that and thinking of Jota.
All the players were saying in their interviews, do it for him. You know, all that sort of thing.
So people were still thinking about him.
Yeah.
It's just that at that moment, Liverpool were picking up the points, so people forget that was a thing that could impact you. But like, grief takes its time, and it will continue to take its time. And look, are players still playing absolutely crap? Yes. Can you still have a go and say, come on lads, you just need to pick up? Yeah, of course you can. But at the same time, you can still have that side of empathy of thinking they're a point off top against an Arsenal side who, you know, are going to challenge this year, who are going to be better than last year. And I actually think it didn't help us that we were 5 points clear and we've lost that, because if it was still neck and neck, I don't think you'd hear this much, you know, talk.
Noise around it, yeah.
Or using Jota as an excuse. I don't think that would be big of a thing. But I think it's because in the space of 8 days, you've gone from 5 points in front to a point behind. And we all know the pressure that is on us, because it feels like you've got to win every game of football once again. And I think people just don't, like, people can still call people crap and say they've had crap games of football and all of these things.
I've done it. I've been criticising Konate this whole season, pretty much.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And it's absolutely fine to criticise a player and how they perform, because ultimately, that's what you do.
You can say the performances are terrible, but you've also got to understand all the mitigating circumstances. Yeah. And I think Van Dijk came out in his post-match interview the other day after Chelsea and said, it's not just the things going on the pitch, it's the things off of it. And straight away, it felt as though a lot of rival fans jumped on that and was like, he's making excuses. Online Liverpool fans even, which is shameful to say, jumped on it and said that's an excuse and you weren't saying all this when you were winning games, which they very much were, by the way. They were still carrying all of this stuff. But the one person that I actually do think is doing well and is getting a lot of criticism at the minute is Slot. The fact that we won, though, he's had to deal with losing a player. You know, he never... That's a horrible thing for a manager to have to go through. When your first season's just ended, you've won the league, and then you've got to try and get these players to be up to go again. And we've seen him, after all those late winners, stick those moments on the wall at the training ground and say, you know, he's had them all up on the wall and said, like, here's your big moments, you know, like Rio and Chiesa and all that sort of thing. And he's had to find a way to try and galvanise these players to go again and go again. That doesn't take away from the fact that they're still going through all of that grief. And for Van Dijk to come out in that interview, I think that's quite brave of Van Dijk to come forward, because you know how quick the media is to move on from what's going on. Things happen in football, and 1 minute it's, Liverpool are favourites, Liverpool are going to win everything. You have one bad 8 days and all of a sudden it's, right, Arsenal have won it, this has happened. Football moves very quickly, but this is real human things. We could come back from the international break, they could drop, you know, don't say it,
a point or something, and we could beat Manchester United, and then it's turned again. So
that's probably the best game for us to go into for this, though. You know, Mo loves playing against Man United. He scored like 16 goals or something absolutely ridiculous against Man United. We get to be there as fans. You'll obviously be on the cop. I think I'm in Annie Road. I think I'm in Upper Annie for this one. But no matter where you're going to be sat, you're going to be well up for it, because we're just as desperate to get that win. But I think the players all know that this is probably either the worst or the best game for us to be going into. But I just hope that they understand that we know what mitigating circumstances are going on. We know that you had loads of new players come in. You're trying to rebuild around different players. You've actually lost a loved one. All this has gone on. There was too much expectation put on us by, I don't know if it's the media or whatever.
I think it was from us winning as well.
Yeah, no, but that's exactly it, straight away.
Because we won so many, because we were 5 points clear, then the pressure and the expectancy gets bigger, because a 5 point a 5-point gap on Arsenal at that moment in time was massive.
But it was so early on for people to just, for the media and all that, to just decide, like, right, let's push this now. And multiple times I've seen the quadruple be thrown around already. We were 4 games in and people were commenting about the quadruple for Liverpool. And it's just this narrative that gets pushed against us all the time. And I know I sound a bit like an Arsenal fan right now saying everyone's against us sort of thing. But that's not the way that I'm looking at it. It does just feel as though there is this pressure, there's this added pressure to us to say, like, okay, well, you won the league last year. Now you've got to go and do more than that. You've spent so much money.
And look, I am one of those people who believe Liverpool have to win something big this year. I do, because you've got 2 years left. And Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk are 2 of the biggest players to ever play for this football club. 2 of the greats I've ever seen, that's for sure. So I am putting pressure on Liverpool. I think Liverpool have to win something big. You win something big now, whilst you've still got those senior players who've won everything. And then you're teaching the new lads, this is how we win, boys. This is the future of Liverpool. This is how you set the tone. And I'm not ruling Liverpool out. We're 1 point behind Arsenal. And look, I'm so glad that an international break was here, because I feel like the players needed it to go and escape. I felt like I needed it so that I didn't have to go to another football game and see us lose. So for me, I can sit here and say Liverpool, 7 or 8 players have been really off it, really, really poor, and they need to be better. They need to step up. All of these things, I can also sit there and understand that they're probably going through something I can't imagine.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I can take
You're
Liverpool are playing crap and the system's not working and there's just things off and Liverpool have to do better. But I can also take that they're dealing with a lot of pressure and there are factors in this that they'll have to live with for the rest of their lives, especially in, coming to play for Liverpool because of the team that they were around. So for me, I can criticise them. And look, Liverpool, you better be better when we come back, because if not, we are going to struggle here. But I'm also willing to give them time, knowing that hopefully when time has passed, these players will be able to have a different headspace than what they've been in.
I think that's what the international break is for all of us, though. Like, now we've had a few days away from it, and we know that we're going to have the international break. I've started rationalising last week, all the way from Palace, Galatasaray and Chelsea. I've been able to look back on those games and be like, okay, a late winner and Nketiah comes on, but we did get back into that game, and if anyone was going to score, it felt like it was going to be us to me. And I understand we played badly, but there's still that thing that I can look back on it now. I was fuming at the time, but I can rationalise it and realise that there were small margins there. The Galatasaray game, that penalty, don't think Szoboszlai does anything wrong, to be honest. I don't see that as a penalty. I think that doesn't get given in the Premier League.
Crystal Palace, there was many problems. Well, and to be honest, I thought there was many problems against Chelsea.
We've been absolutely shocking, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, I can still rationalise it.
At the end of the day, after a horrendous 8 days in which we lost 3 games in a row, was somehow only 1 point behind Arsenal, and that makes me feel a little bit better. And like you said, I'm coming away from Stamford Bridge thinking all the worst things in the world, but now I've had time to deal with it and you get over it. You look at the bigger picture and you go 1 point behind Arsenal. It's not too bad. Hopefully, the players have good international breaks, and then they come back, they're re-energised, they've got a different energy about them, a different headspace, and they're ready to go again. And that is what I hope. I mean, you can let us know what you think in the comments. If you want to be tough on the players, you can be. Like we've said,
we're not telling you how to.
We're not telling you how to feel. We're just basically saying we understand everybody who is basically saying Liverpool, you're playing absolutely awful, and I've used nice words there.
Yeah. But we're also rationalising.
We're also trying to make ourselves feel better.
And have an understanding to Virgil's
and have an empathy, and an understanding, instead of jumping on the back of someone who is clearly feeling something in a certain way. So, and you can tell it from some of the performances. Salah's just not Salah. And I was so happy that he's put Egypt on his back and got them to the World Cup, because it feels like he needed something like that. But we are going to move away from football. We will be back with more football at some point.
Some of the questions you have sent are sort of football related, but it's general, isn't it?
It's general. It's a bit more get to know us, and then we'll talk more football probably within the questions.
We all need our sort of like football and podcast fix while this international break's on, and my sort of thing, and I think Chloe felt the same, is you still want to be able to have these podcasts on, but you also don't want to hear just us for 45 minutes going like, because
you probably heard it for the past
Liverpool
4 days anyway.
Terrible. Yeah, basically.
And also like we've been a little bit moody, but we've also been a little bit, you know, not happy's not the word, but we've been a bit more uplifting by saying we're a point behind, we understand why, let's hopefully come back stronger and better. So we've kind of gave you the gloom, and we've also tried to make you feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah.
But let's move on from the football, because
people have been asking for this for a long time.
They have, and also, I won't lie, it's an international break and I've needed it, so I'm quite glad that we're moving away from specific Liverpool right now chat, because let me tell you, I didn't go Galatasaray, so I wasn't one of the people who had to suffer that, but I did go Palace and Chelsea, so I'm quite happy to not speak about Liverpool in that way anymore. I'll let you pick the first couple of questions. You can kind of introduce what this is.
To be honest, I'll be very honest, I forgot to write down who ask these questions. So if you recognise these questions as yours, thank you very much for sending them in. But I'm just really silly and I have no idea how this works. So I just wrote a list of all the questions that you sent and didn't say who they were from. So I love you all very much for sending them in.
Yeah.
And I did them in a very random order as well. But I think we should probably start off with, how did you two interact and meet? Do you remember meeting me for the first time?
So
do you?
Yeah.
Because I remember coming in for a show. I think it was you, me and Paul, and then we did one, you, me and Dan. I think the next time, but Paul was saying he wanted us on a show together.
I remember that, but when I actually, they've been fleeting moments when I actually interacted with you, and I think we kind of was
Dan's wedding.
We're best mates as Dan's wedding.
Yeah. Because I was worried you were going to say a moment before that, and I was going to be like, no, it was Dan's wedding.
No, it was Dan's wedding. It was Joe going to me, Abby doesn't know what to wear, can I just give her your number? And I was like, yeah, come on, I'll do that. And then you messaged me and was like, right, so what are you wearing?
Yeah, and I was so excited.
Very girl thing of, what are you wearing to this wedding? And I think we sent each other the photos of what we were wearing.
Yeah.
We chatted, and then Dan's wedding was when we were best mates.
I think because at the time I didn't have that many girl friends that were interested in the football. So when I came in for that first show that we did with either Paul or Dan, I think we did two before we actually started being friends, I was dead nervous and was just like, I would love to be friends with this person. And every time we did the show, we were both sort of sat there on our phones before it started, and I'd be like, you okay? Yeah. And then we'd both just be talking to Paul, and then I'd be like, okay, bye. And I'd leave and I'd go back to my mum and be like, I really want to be mates with Chloe, but I don't know how to approach it. So then when I started going out with Joe, what's the better way than getting your boyfriend to ask for your number? Exactly. And then we hit it off. We got pictures together and everything. We did. In the toilet.
We went in the toilet.
We did.
We obviously got that photo.
We did.
And yeah, we were just best mates ever since then. And we literally speak every single day.
We do. We literally do.
There's not a day where we don't speak.
Someone asked, have you ever been to a game together? Which technically, no.
No.
But we did drive to Burnley away together.
We drove Burnley away together.
I was being very naughty because I was sitting with the home fans with my dad, which I shouldn't have done, and I'll never do it again because I got loads of hate from the Burnley fans. Oh, do you remember? We drove down together. We were fine. It was all nice. We had a drink beforehand, and then I had to go in with the Burnley fans, and you were obviously with our fans, and I could just see us all just having an absolute ball. Now I'm sat there like this, and literally the people around me were going I think there's Scousers in here. There's so many different faces that I don't recognise. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm going to me dad
they're on to us.
Can we go and get by Chloe? How do we get by Chloe? And I'll never do it ever again. But literally anytime I had to go to the toilet, I had to pass this man, and I was going, excuse me, sorry. And I was trying to do a Burnley accent just to be
anyone from Burnley, we apologise for that.
But to be sorry, excuse me. And but then he was like, she sounded a bit Scouse then. And I was like, I was like panicking, like, and I was texting you going like, Chloe, I hate this. I'm never doing this ever again. And then the whole car journey home, I was going to my dad, like, you're sat in the back just like vibing, and I was like, Dad, I'm never sitting in there ever again. I'm not sitting with your mates.
I came out and I was like, Liverpool won, lovely. And you were like, I hated it. It was a horrendous experience.
Never doing that. That's the closest we've ever got to actually going to the game
like
together.
We've seen each other before games of football.
Yeah, we did LFC TV on the balcony after the Spurs game.
Like we've seen but we sit in different places.
Your cop season ticket, and I'm just like membership, sit wherever I can get a seat, basically. And it's an absolute joke trying to get seats on the cop. You've got no chance of getting them. We
make up for it by like just the random, do you want to do something this Friday? Do you want to do something? Like we plan things. So we also don't do everything around football.
No, exactly. And that's why this whole idea of us doing a podcast, I was very much against it just being us sitting there talking about the football, because I think it just stops our conversations from going the way they normally go. Do you know what I mean?
Which are a bit mad. Which
is the whole point of this. To be honest, do you want to pick the next question then? Are you going to go for a mad one?
No, I'm not yet. I'm saving you the one that you wanted, because you know it's the one that you wanted. There's one that says, how do you cope when Liverpool lose a game? And I have got so much better at this, by the way. I used to be horrendous. Like, I used to be like, go home, be on my own, dark room, dislike my life for quite a while. Until Liverpool kicked the ball, really. I would be in quite a mood. But now, I've learned to switch off from the football.
How'd you switch off, though?
You've just, I don't know, you've just got to...
I can't do it, you know. I literally can't do it. It will live. That's why this international break is like a great thing and a bad thing for me, because it just means longer until I have to wait for Liverpool to win a football game and for me really to finally feel happy again.
Yeah, I'm
happy sitting here doing this with you. That cheered me up a lot. But I know when I go home later and I log on to Twitter, Instagram or whatever, and I see people complaining.
It's unfortunate for Joe, this.
I know. I'm literally, Joe's upstairs like, she's going to be miserable later. That Chelsea game's just ruined. But I've always been like that. Like when we lost that Champions League final, the first time around, like recently anyway, I'm not talking about 2007, talking about, was it 2018? Before that, I sat in the garden and like stared at the wall for like 3 hours, like literally just going to myself like, carry us, like,
are we ever going to get back there?
Like literally, because you never think it's going to happen again. That's the thing. And then obviously
I didn't have that. I was in Kiev, and Kiev.
Well, no, not actually, but I've never actually been to a Champions League final or anything like that. I have,
but we've not won one, so I probably should stop going to them.
Give me your ticket.
But Kiev was one of the best trips I've ever been on. It was incredible. Shevchenko Park, like it took me 5 planes to get there. It was like over 25. Yeah, 24.
Why 5?
Don't know. It was like little stop-offs, and then I landed in one part of Ukraine and you had to get to the other part. Like it was all mad. So like I left at like 8 a.m. one morning, arrived 8 a.m. the next morning, went to a bar straight away as soon as we got there off the plane. Like it was incredible, and there was just everyone you'd seen at the football game was there, because like it was just like that, and it was a sea of red. It was boss. And I remember we lost and I felt bad and I left the ground. But then you'd go into the pubs. We drank the entire place out of beer, but you'd go into the pubs and people would be singing. People was uplifted. People were like, it's all right, we've got Jurgen Klopp.
Do you know what cheered me up that night? Like you mentioning Klopp there, that video of him singing the song. Yeah.
We saw the European Cup.
Yeah. Seeing that video after just feeling miserable for hours and seeing that he was still out there saying like, we'll bring it back to Liverpool. That was the man that he was at Liverpool pretty much, wasn't it? Just being able to lift us in those sorts of ways. But that made me feel better, and I think Jurgen always had the way of being able to do that to us, no matter whether it was a loss, like a funny press conference, even if he was fuming, just that sort of thing. That is something, like seeing yesterday, it was 10 years since he became manager, seeing all the interviews and stuff, you forget what's gone. You know what I mean? Like obviously I love Slot and he's great and all that, and I want him to stay at Liverpool. What he's doing is still really good for me. But when you see videos like that, you do go, God, it was what a time that was. And even the
made
losses.
you fall back in love with football in the terms of,
100%.
I was always in love with football, but I don't think Liverpool had that connection with it.
He made
we
it 10 times bigger for me.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Because we were no one, and he put us right back at the top, and he gave us a foundation to carry on. So, like, he was, like, loads of people had success and seen success at Liverpool, but my generation hadn't really. We obviously had the Champions League, but I was like 3 or 4. So even then, I was too young to really fully understand or be there and ride the high, where he brought all of that, what your like dad talks to you about, and the wins that Liverpool have had, and how he used to watch some of the greats. Like, you then had that, and you then had Jurgen Klopp, who was the great. So he made me fall back in love with football to an extent where I was already absolutely obsessed with it. But when you realise that you can start winning things, and he took us from no one and the underdogs to very much, you know, back on our pitch, that was boss.
Was that a part of you going to the away games a bit more then, once it was sort of the Jurgen time, or were you already going to them? Because someone asked, like, on my Instagram, like, away days for Chloe, like, what's her favourite away ground, and like, why?
Yeah, I always say Newcastle away, because you're up in the gods. They create a great atmosphere, like St James's Park.
Were you going
really
to them
good.
before Jurgen, or?
What happened was, I come from a mad Liverpool family, but like when I was younger, I think people like me dad and that didn't enjoy the idea of taking me to the football, because it was very men and it was all a little bit daunting. And he was like, well, like, you know, she can go to the toilet, but she'd have to go to the toilet on her own and things like that. So I think he was kind of against it. So my sister was the one who took me to my first Liverpool game, and I started getting in with that. You know, there was names on season tickets from when people were born and stuff, and eventually I got one. And from there I went with my brother. My brother also had a season ticket, so that's how we'd go to the games. We'd go to the away games whenever we could, whenever there was a spare away ticket that we'd heard of. But it was only several, when I probably first started here, where I was able to get my hands on quite a few tickets, and that was mainly from just going the games and building friendships with people. And when those people are either too ill or can't make it or anything like that, they just think of you instead of you not having that connection. So I don't think my family would have let me go on an away trip if it wasn't with my brother or someone when I was younger. But now, obviously, I very much go on my own, and I go on, you know, a coach full of people who I now know very well, who look after me and I look after them when they're too drunk. So that's how it works. That's how you kind of got into it. But my season ticket's been in my family for ages. So it was just a case of who likes football the most, who doesn't have one. Well, it'll be here. And obviously I wasn't. It was then put in my name when Liverpool announced the amnesty and things like that. But yeah, that's how I got into it. But my favourite away ground by far is Newcastle away, just because you're up in the gods. The limbs, if you win, are an absolute joke. They create a boss atmosphere. And it's just a really tough away ground to go. Like, it really is. So when you win there, it feels even bigger as well. So, and I also, look, despite everything that's happened with Newcastle in the summer, don't actually mind them as a football club in terms of, obviously,
don't mind George.
The owners are something, which, you know.
That's a completely different conversation.
But though, in terms of, like,
the fan base
and stuff, I don't actually mind them. So I'll always say Newcastle. What away grounds have you been?
Literally hardly any. Literally trying to get to away games for me is a nightmare.
It's hard. Like, it's
impossible.
impossible.
Like, you have to have,
you can't start. Like, I couldn't start getting tickets now.
No, I couldn't get them and build up credits in my name now. You have to have started so long ago. And because I probably didn't get into football properly until I was like 11, which I'll come on to in a minute because someone's asked an interesting question. It was impossible. Do you know what I mean? Even the season ticket list shut in 2011 at the start of it, and that was the year that I started to properly get into football with my dad. Because someone's asked here, as a father of 2 girls that are 11 and 13 who've tried really hard not to put pressure on them to follow Liverpool, what would you say to get my daughters into Liverpool, basically, to swallow the red pill? You described it.
you either love it or you don't care for it. I
Were you into it from a little girl? Because it was so different.
I broke my arm 2005 Champions League and I did not go to the hospital.
Really?
Before kick-off. I didn't go to the hospital. I watched Liverpool. I then was taken to the hospital after it all.
It's probably already started healing. It's like healing back over.
I did go to the hospital and the hospital was like, yeah, nothing wrong with that girl. She's absolutely fine. And my mum took me to the bus welcome and I'm moving my arm. That's nothing, stop it. So like, there was something wrong with my arm and we did go back the next day and they were like, oh, we missed that, sorry. But like, I've always loved football, but my brother played football and he was one of my heroes, so I always looked up to him. He shared the room with Andy Carroll. He played against Jordan Henderson. He played with Darren Creswell. Like, he played with quite a few footballers. And then he moved to America and Canada, and I always would, when we'd go there, we'd go on trips and go to America and follow him up and down the country to watch him play football for a couple of weeks and stuff. So I was always like, I was born into a family that just wouldn't have let me not like football, because the football's on the TV 24/7. My sisters like football, not as interested as me, passionate as you, but like they still will watch every game and they still, fume about the football and stuff. But like, I didn't. For me, I don't know how to explain it. I always thought it was a case of you either absolutely are obsessed with it and love it, or like, and now I know this is not the case because I am obsessed with it, but I can't switch off from it. But when I used to think that there was nothing more important than football, like, I used to think you're either obsessed with it or you just don't care for it. Where now I realise that people are obsessed with it during times that it plays, but can switch off and do other things.
I was a similar age to this man's two little girls, like they're 11 and 13. I was roughly 11, I'd say. And basically before that, I was well into Justin Bieber. That was my bedroom, was just covered in Justin Bieber. Fair. Then it moved to One Direction in 2010. But before then, my dad would be taking me to Anfield, trying to get me into the games. And listen, I loved Liverpool. Like, Stevie G was like my favourite person on earth, but I had no understanding around the game whatsoever. And my dad would have it on and be like, come on, we want Liverpool to win. And I'd be like, cool. 5, he'd be like, come on, let's sing about John Arnorisa in the back of the car, like, come on, let's sing about Steven Gerrard. And he taught me all that sort of stuff, but I was never the kid. I'm not very sporty, to be honest. I think a lot of people know that, is like, physically playing it myself was never an option because I was never into sport. I was always that kid that was getting me mum to write a note for me because I had like one tiny little problem in my knees, so I made all the hey, write a note. Fair. And then that was it. Then if we wasn't playing bench ball inside, I wasn't playing PE.
Quality.
But to be fair, in my schools, girls didn't play football, and that wasn't really a thing. So when Liverpool was on, I'd sit down and I'd watch it with my dad, but I'd be sat on me little purple laptop at the time just watching videos of Justin Bieber and stuff like that. Then when money started to get a little bit, I don't know if it just got a little bit tight for me mum and dad or whatever, my dad decided that the TV was too expensive. We're just going to have Freeview and I'm going to go to the pub to watch the matches, was basically what my dad said. So this was probably around 2011. I remember literally crying my eyes out, Chloe, going like, Hannah Montana, Sweet Life on Deck. Like, I was literally devastated. I was like, you're taking the kids' channels away from me and I'm starting high school this year and this whole year is going to be miserable. And my dad said to me, like, why don't you come to the pub with me? Like, come on, come to the pub. I'm going to be watching the match. Like, it'll get you out the house. So at 11, I'm like, okay, we're getting out the house, whatever. So I went to the pub with my dad. And because I'm just like sat there watching the football on the telly, everyone around me is like really getting into it. Obviously I wanted Liverpool to win, but I had no real understanding around the game. That's when it really seeing like me dad getting dead excited, and then I'd be like, go on, like, what, like watching the telly sort of thing. And we started to build like a proper bond about it, because I do think when my dad's probably going to watch this, but when you're pre-teen going into teen, I was a lot closer to my mum because it was makeup, music, that sort of thing that she was really into, quite like the feminine side of things. And then you're sort of moving away from being like a daddy's girl and holding your dad's hand and all that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So it was sort of the perfect time for me to be getting into football and for me and him to have that thing to bond over. And then I was just like, I was in it then. Once I was in it, once he took away my children's channels and I had to watch football all the time, I just became obsessed. And then, like we were saying before, 2015, Jürgen comes in and he just pulls you in even more. And obviously success helps with stuff like that. But even before that, it was a massive bonding thing for me and my dad. And my mum's a bit like your sisters, like sort of is into it. We'll watch all the game, we'll scream at the telly. But like, if she got a ticket to an away or something, she couldn't be asked because it's long distance. Whereas I'd be like, oh my God, give me... Do you know what? It's sort of that sort of thing.
My sisters and that'll do that, but I mean, it's more like I've gone to games with them, Wembley as well. But like, you know, it is far, it's a lot of money, things like that. So, and you know, when they're a bit older than me, so they've got, you know, kids, things like that. Responsibilities that I don't have. So, you know, I don't have to leave anybody behind. We're needing a child, man, to go to a game of football. But yeah, I've always been footy mad.
My advice for this man is to cancel any television subscription that you've got and take the kids to the pub and sit them with a packet of crisp and in front of the telly as you scream at the footy. That worked. That worked on me. I wanted to be involved. And now look at me. Just my whole emotion of my whole life is just run by football. And I wouldn't have you. Exactly. And I wouldn't be with you, and I wouldn't have all the amazing friends that we've made through football and stuff like that. So it's
football can do wonderful things.
I love how we said we weren't going to talk about football, and it's just ended up our real love for football.
Yeah, I mean, it has turned into that. But also, if your daughters are just interested in something else,
that's allowed.
I mean, that's allowed as well. Yeah. We're not all into the same kind of things. No. It's nice to be different.
I was One Direction obsessed. Do you know what? Football and One Direction's love coincided for a very, very long time. Fact about me.
Yeah.
You went into them now.
I didn't mind One Direction, don't get me wrong. I didn't have the posters or anything like that.
I was crying.
I did go to the cinema to watch
This Is Us. Is it This Is Us? How bad of a fan am I? It's literally been that many years. I think it's This Is Us.
Yeah, that one then. That is what I went to watch. And look, I've seen Harry Styles live and it was brilliant. I can't go wrong with Harry Styles.
My first love.
Well.
And still is.
Oh, it's a shame. Don't think it's going to happen.
No, I don't either, to be fair.
But yeah, what other hobbies do you have was one of the questions.
Oh my God. Do you know what the thing is?
Football is my life.
That's the thing is for me, is art started off as a hobby. Like obviously for anyone who doesn't know, like I do football paintings of the players and stuff like that, just like take moments from the games and stuff that I love. It's sort of that thing. That was always a hobby for me. Like in school, I'd be the kid that stayed in the art room at lunchtime. Like I was one of them. Like my blazer was covered in paint and I'd always be getting told off for it. I wasn't bothered about being involved with the sport. I just always wanted to be painting. So then I did GCSE and A-level. Then obviously I moved on to do a fine art degree, which I was sort of like, should I do business? Because it felt a little bit more practical in getting a job, or do what I want to do and what I'd actually enjoy 3 years out of. So it was a bit of a debate with myself, but I did end up doing the artwork. And then obviously the pandemic happens. I post a picture of a Jürgen painting on Twitter and here we are now. So that's sort of not a hobby anymore because it's my job. But if I do feel like I just want to do something to decompress, I find myself painting things that like I'm not going to sell or I'm not going to make prints out of. Like literally I've been looking at like Halloween pumpkin painting and like, you know, all that sort of thing. So it sounds ridiculous to say that like sitting there still thinking about football and still painting is my hobby, because it's not, because it's still work. But I guess that just means that I'm like really lucky that my hobbies are my job at the same time. Like, what about you?
Hobbies, I mean, it was always football, play football.
You still play football now, don't you?
Yeah, but not like, I play for like fun. Not, I used to, you know, do Sunday league and things like that where I used to take it proper serious. Now it's like you go and catch up with all your mates and like have a boss time. And that's what it is. Sadly, Everton's usually.
I meant what position, but you can also tell us at Everton. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So I started out, I don't know what I started out as actually to go to it, but I remember I was always put in midfield because I'd do both. And I used to be healthy and really into sport, like used to play football.
You would have hated
all
me
the
when we were
time.
younger.
I know.
You would have absolutely hated
Sad.
me.
I didn't do PE. Could not care for PE, by the way. Like I used to get out of PE all the time. If it, like you said, if it wasn't bench ball or badminton or trampolining, get me out of there. Like I didn't want to do it.
Did you used to do trampolining?
We did, yeah.
I'm so jealous of that. I always wanted a trampoline as a kid, and my dad was like, "No, I'm putting more seats and a barbecue in the garden."
Well,
I was see, we could have been friends because I'd have come round and I'd have wanted to get on your trampoline.
Exactly.
Do you know what? Actually making me laugh because someone's asked us about a Freaky Friday swap, and now we're talking about each other's lives. I don't know if that would apply to us when we were younger or not. Well, now, really.
But you told me I don't get your abilities, so I am just you.
Me and Chloe have been debating because we got a question through that said, if you've both done a Freaky Friday swap, what would you enjoy about each other's lives for a day, and what would you hate? But Chloe and me were having a debate because in the movie Freaky Friday, it's the daughter and the mum swap, and Chloe's never seen it, but the daughter doesn't get the mum's ability and the mum doesn't get the daughter's ability. Anyone who's watched it will know the mum is in the daughter's body and gets on stage and can't play the guitar. So this is what we were saying, like,
so
do you get each other's... You're just in my body and you're still me. You're me, but like, I don't know if
your physique, but my mind and
your
abilities.
mind, yeah, basically.
Right.
But we'd be living each other's lives. But because he said Freaky Friday, like the film,
I feel like that'd be better
if we got each other's abilities.
Well, yeah, because we're basically the same age. Like,
I'm a bit older.
Tiny
bit older.
I was trying to be nice, you know what I mean?
Everyone's going to think I'm like 30 now.
She is. She is 31.
I'm 25, you're 24. Oh my God.
Sad. I hate that. No, it's hate for us. I hate 20. Can I stop at 21, please? 22. I loved. Could we go back to that? Because I don't like what it is. I'm 6 years away from being 30.
Well, I'm 5 years.
I used to say, I was born in 2001, and people would be like, oh my God, heads would fall off. Now I say I'm born in 2001 and someone's born in like 2010, and I'm like, what is going on?
I hate it when I go in the Instagram or TikTok comments and someone puts like, my mum was born in 2001, and yeah, I'm like,
no.
You're old enough to have a phone and your mum's like my age.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So I do feel old. I don't know what we were talking about.
Freaky Friday.
Freaky Friday, right.
I think we should be able to get each other's ability. Because I would love, do you know the way you go running and stuff like that? I would love to be able to go on a long run without tasting blood.
I won't lie, it's a hill session tonight, 6K, so are you sure you don't want to do it for me?
No, but I can't physically walk to the bottom of my road, Chloe. This is what I'm saying. I've never had any fitness. Like the only thing I've ever...
swap bodies with Aaron. Aaron is producing this. He goes on like 50Ks and all random stuff like that. Doesn't want to swap
bodies with me anymore, guys.
I want your artwork is what I wish I was that creative and that like good at something.
I'll run for a day and you can paint for a day.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But this question...
But what I'm saying is, if you wanted to run, don't be in my body, be in Aaron's body.
Yeah.
Aaron runs like nobody's ever seen. He's an absolute joke, to be perfectly honest. Aaron, watch your YouTube. Oh, it's just Aaron Jarvis. You can go and look at him running the lakes. Let me tell you, every time he does one, I watch it and I just think, how does this man do this? Like, it is a joke. So
I can't
you
run.
Sitting there, Aaron's producing, doing like ultra marathons and stuff like that, and you're going, I wish I could be you and run 6K.
Well, to be fair, Chloe, the question was Freaky Friday swap with you. I wasn't swap with anyone in the office.
6K, and then Aaron sat there doing a breezy 6K in like 20 minutes, because that's what Aaron does.
I thought a 5K was a marathon. Is that not when people are posting? Do you know when people are posting, I've just done a 5K? Is that not a marathon?
No.
What's a marathon?
Oh.
Aaron.
Aaron, what's a marathon? 20 something?
42.
I was doing a half marathon, 42K.
Imagine me doing a marathon, Chloe.
Shall we sign you up?
No. I can't. I literally... Like, this is why I would just love to swap with you, because I don't want to have to put the work in. Do you like the couch to 5K thing?
I did that in COVID.
I don't want to have to do the work I don't want to put the work in. I just want to be able to do the marathon on the day.
Oh, well, I wouldn't be able to do a marathon and do...
Okay, do the 5K on the day. I wish I could do 1K on the day.
Or a sprint session, but that's about it. I would never sign myself up for a race because I don't like that idea.
Next episode of the show is me and Chloe having a race.
Why have you done that?
Because it's not going to happen.
It's true.
I'll throw up. I can't run to the bottom of my road without tasting blood.
I think that's what should be. It's a bit dramatic, but that's okay.
I'm not being dramatic.
I think the next show should revolve around me trying to paint a footballer.
Oh my God.
And you trying to do a 6K.
I just want to see you try and paint. I don't want to have to run. I'd rather just see you paint and I don't have to run because... We need like a paramedic on standby if I'm How far have I got to run? 6K?
6K,
I thought 5K was like like someone's run 5K.
Well, yeah.
And you just do 6K on a Thursday.
So like, I do a run club to just get out and do stuff. And on a Tuesday, it's efforts or sprints, which are supposed to make you quicker at running. And hill session for like stamina and stuff like that. So it's a hill session on Thursdays.
I won't be there.
And it's a sprint session, effort session on a Tuesday. Not a bit of you. No. And then you can do a Saturday or a Sunday 5K.
Can we start trampolining? Can we actually find like a trampoline group now?
Yeah,
I feel
that's fine. My point is, and this is going to be too much information for absolutely everybody, but like, do you know when you were a kid, like, your bladder was just so much better?
See, I thought you were going to say like, wobbly boobs or something for me and be like, you're not going to be able to jump on a trampoline, Abigail. I thought that was the point that we were going to make there.
Sports bra is the way. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a kind of thing.
If anyone wants to sponsor us, we will do a sports bra testing on a trampoline.
If anyone wants to send us any sportswear for me to do that. But
I have a feeling that's not what we're going to get sent.
I love how we've just completely went off on a tangent here.
Abby mentioned boobs and I just don't know why.
The next question was literally, have you ever completely lost your train of thought when live and how did you recover?
All the time. All the time. And sometimes I just pretend that I know what I'm speaking about.
Can you remember a time where you've actually just like completely blanked and not been able to carry on the sentence?
Yeah, because like it happens once a week. Dan or Chris will make a horrendous joke. And then you'll lose your train of thought because the joke was that bad that you had to address it.
I can't remember the rest of what you said.
Yeah, the question, and then it's just like, right, well, let's move on because someone's ruined it with a crap joke. Do you know what I mean?
That's not too bad though.
That's
like
not
at
too
least
bad,
that's on like a Redmen show or something. Yeah. Because if it was on radio and you just went completely dead silent.
Yeah,
that would be.
I've got too much adrenaline on things like that.
I just keep rambling, so it has happened to me where like I forgot. Yeah, I forgot what I was talking about, and like let's say like it'll just be a question about Salah or something. I will then just be like, and do you know who's been terrible as well? And then I'll say like I don't know, Cody Gakpo. Like I just sort of go on to something else, and then I'll remember. Oh. They were asking me about Mo Salah, weren't they? And then I'll be like, and that's why Mo Salah, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like I have done it, but I've never just completely went silent. There was one show that I did once with Paul, like 2.5 years ago or something, where I think the live cut off or something, and then we had to come back and Paul was like, so what were you saying? And I think I literally just went, Paul, I don't remember what we were talking about.
Could you say
that
I think
again? I literally said the words, I don't remember what we were talking about. And then we just moved on, to be honest. So it's never been so bad that I've like sat there and thought afterwards, oh my God, like I've just embarrassed myself. Like, have you ever had a feeling like that? I feel like that, I fear it before I go on stuff where I think, oh my God, what if I embarrass myself? And then it's never as bad as I think it's going to be.
Maybe. I think I make a point and then think to myself, what point did I just make? Like, do I actually believe in the point that I made?
But it never haunts you afterwards, though.
No, it used to. At the beginning, I used to overthink anything. If I'd like stumble over a word, I'd think about it and it'd keep me up at night. Now I've done it that many times. I've said far too many stupid things. I've like...
That they don't stay with you.
They don't stay with me. I go home and I forget it. I forget that this goes out to someone.
Have you ever done it where it's annoyed you, you've realised you've made the mistake and then you think, oh, no one will notice, and then someone in the comments notices? Are you bad at reading comments? That was another question.
No,
do you read the
no,
comments?
I don't do any of that either. I used to.
I'm terrible
Don't
for doing that, you know. I'm terrible.
I used to be really bad for it all, but now when I leave work, I go and do stuff with people. So like I don't even think to even go on my phone. Half the time I forget that these then go out to people. And I read me comments on me matchday vlogs because like
positive, and they're people who have like subscribed to you and all that
also,
sort of thing.
you know, it's probably a 15-minute video and they've took the time to watch my video and comment, and therefore I will respond back. But like an hour's show, and when there's 4 people talking about it, they could be asking a question to any one of us, and I really doubt they're asking a question to me when it's Paul, Chris and Dan as the other 3 people. I just assume they're going to be asking them.
It's just me in the comments and my questions disappear and I'm like, hi Chloe.
Yeah, if anyone said hi Chloe and then asked me a question, then yes. But if it's not directed towards me and I don't know who it's directed to, I'll just leave it.
Yeah.
But I'm not that bad. I used to be horrendous at reading comments and worrying and, you know, thinking of what people may think. But now I don't care. I'm happy in life, and that is the main point.
We got so many questions of people saying like, how do you deal with misogyny and stuff like that and feeling belittled because you're a girl being into football? And I didn't want to like go too far into it, but shall we address it a little bit?
This can be the last question,
this can be the last question, because this was the most asked question, basically, was like, as girls, how do you deal being in such a male-dominated environment and stuff like that? I think me and Chloe are quite lucky because we have each other. Do you know if something ever happens and like someone makes a comment about something that I've said,
anything you put on Twitter that might be stupid on Abby's, don't you worry. I have definitely called you every name under the sun, and it's definitely been spoken about.
You're so much better than me, because I will literally send you it and be like, who the hell is this man speaking to? And you're like, why does he care? Like, just let it go. It's just like some bot or like some idiot behind the thing. You always make me feel better about it, to be fair. But I think that's one good thing about us becoming friends, was at first I was so shy and like so introverted, having to talk about football on stuff. Like obviously, like I started off doing little bits on Klopp Zone, and then I did a bit on the Anfield Wrap, and then Paul asked me to come on this. And I was so nervous, just thinking like, okay, like there's always men in the comments being like, oh my God, who's this girl?
You better make a good point, otherwise someone's going to call you.
Do you know what I mean?
It,
like it could be that like I'd be on a show where, I don't know, let's say like Dan or Steve or something, and they'll make a mistake and no one picks up on it. And I'm not saying Steve and Dan make mistakes, but you know what I mean?
But they do always.
They could say the wrong name or something. But then if I do it a second later, even if I correct myself in that moment, there's always going to be like someone will jump onto that one. So I was just like a bag of nerves for so long, thinking like people weren't valuing my opinion. And I'm not saying loads of people weren't, but there was just the odd one in a bunch of loads of people who were dead nice. And I took it on loads, and then becoming friends with you, love you loads. It changed my whole perception of the whole thing, because you were just like, why'd you care? Like, why are you bothered about their opinion? Like there's so many people there that appreciate what we're saying and stuff like that, and value our opinion, to the point for us to be able to sit here and have this conversation and answer all your questions that you've sent in and talk about the football on Redmen. Like, for us to now be here, you made a massive difference in how I feel about misogyny. So if we can send any messages to girls who are into football and like need spurring on to keep putting your stuff out there and keep going, because I get messages off girls all the time saying like, what's like the first step? Like, I'm really nervous and shy and I don't know what sort of comments I'm going to get, because they already get abuse online. Like I used to get back into the kitchen comments a million times a day. And even comments that I get now sometimes can be like, oh, like she only paints the football players for attention, she doesn't really like football. Well,
let me tell you guys, it's working. It's a job.
It's my
job. She gets paid for it.
It's my job, but I do also love Liverpool a lot, so please appreciate what I'm saying. But yeah, like I'd just say to those girls, like I don't know what you'd say, is like, just take the step, because those people, if they have to look at you in person, they would not be saying what they say. Like, have you ever had that where you've been at the match and like someone's been looking at you really weird, but they've not said anything? And like sometimes when people do that, I just think to myself like, you abused me online or something, because they looked dead nervous, and I'm like, we had an argument on Twitter, because I will just respond to anyone trying to argue with me.
See, for every bad comment you get, you're going to get 100 people who are actually sound, and 100 people who just want other humans to do well in life. And therefore, try not to look at the negative comments or aspects, because truly it's someone behind a computer who's hurling abuse at you because you probably do what they want to do. And that was the other thing. A lot of people, at the start, were like, would send abuse, but then in the same sentence be like, it should be me. And it's like, okay, so you're doing that because you wish you were doing this.
Yeah, you were talking about Liverpool.
That's what you wish. So just go for it. And this is to absolutely anybody in life. Yeah, it's to women, but it's also to people who want to go and, you know, follow a passion that they may like. And I never thought I'd get anything to do with here. I just tried to build a portfolio so that one day in the future I could return to do something in a footballing aspect. But it just went that my portfolio actually was good enough to get picked up and be seen and get a job. So just go and do it. Don't care about the negative comments, because we'll get negative comments on this. I'm pretty sure you'll look on the comments right now and there'll be loads of people who just can't be bothered with this kind of content, can't be bothered with us. And that's fine. That's not going to affect my life. To like the 10 people who do like this show, you know.
Let us know that you want more.
Yeah.
Let the rest of them know that you still want us to be on here.
The majority of people in life are sound, or at least I hope they are. Focus on those people, not on the people who produce negativity and don't want people to do well in life, because...
Plus, there's so many role models now. Like, you look at Kelly Cates and people like that. There's so many.
Laura Woods is not one of them.
Yeah, Laura Woods isn't one, but we won't come on to that, maybe for another day. But there are... Yeah, we'll have a conversation. Yeah, we might cut that out. There are so many women in this field now, and, you know, women's football's doing better and all that sort of stuff. There are so many women getting into this field, and you have just as much of a right to have an opinion, and you have just as much of a right to be at the games, you know, things like that. I've had people say to me before, like, how did she get a ticket? Like, and I can't get a ticket. And it's like, why do you have any right to have a ticket more than me? There's all those sort of things. You just need to value yourself, value your own opinion, and just go for it. And find yourself a Chloe.
Find yourself an Abi. That's what I say. Thank you so much for watching. It was a long episode. It was not always about football, but these shows will have a lot of aspects like that. So we won't always talk about football for the hour. We'll have some football aspects, but
we'll try.
It'll be...
We do go off on tangents, don't we?
Like, just normal life issues and stuff. So thanks so much for joining us. Please do hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. I mean... If you don't want to watch the other Redmen stuff, I would say watch it. But if you don't, you can just come back for us whenever we're back. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing that. Abby, where can people go and get your stuff, your Etsy?
Oh, yeah. Art by Abigail R on Etsy, or just go on the Instagram account, Art by Abigail R, or there's Abigail Rudkin X on TikTok. And I tried to get Abigail Rudkin and it was taken. And then I tried to get Art by Abigail R and it was taken. So... Abigail Rudkin X. It's different on every single platform, to be honest. Which
helps absolutely nobody.
I apologise. It's Rudkin_Abigail on Twitter as well, which is completely different again.
Yeah, wonderful. If you want to follow any of my stuff, my matchday vlogs are on Chloe Blocks. It's quite simple, that one, isn't it? My name on YouTube, do go and follow. Yeah, they're all right. They can do...
I love them. Me and my dad sit down after every match and we watch them together.
I mean, Jürgen Klopp told me he watches them, and that is all I really care about in life. It doesn't, does it? Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely week. Enjoy the rest of the international break, and until the next one, up the Reds.